New at 4, the family of a B-17 co-pilot who was killed when the antique plane crashed at Bradley has announced plans to sue the owner of that aircraft. The World War II-era bomber crashed while on an excursion in 2019, killing 7 people and injuring 6 others. The family of Michael Foster is suing the Collins Foundation for gross negligence, saying that the plane should never have taken off that day. The lawsuit alleges that the Collins Foundation failed to properly maintain the aircraft and failed to declare a flight emergency as soon as trouble developed. According to an NTSB report, the crash was likely due to pilot error.
And also this